Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be looking at about 20 or so original PSP games running using the PPSSPP Emulator on my brand new Steam Deck. Now I've been very impressed with the PPSSPP performance, and I'm doing this through EmuDeck, and this first game we're looking at here is Burnout Legends. I think I did 3 or 4 Burnout Legends back in the day for the PSP. I certainly had this one, and I was always a real fan of the original Sony PSP. I bought it the day it was released. I actually got one imported from Japan, and I seem to remember Ridge Racer was the one and only game I actually had with it, so I played quite a bit of Ridge Racer. But what I thought we'd do, we'd just look through, just to sort of see a variety of games, some racing games, puzzles, strategy, some retro games in compilation form. Just see quite how well they play. Now, out of the box, the version of PPSSPP that came with the EmuDeck, for some reason, it just didn't seem that good. So I went on and I downloaded the standalone PPSSPP emulator from their website, just downloaded the Linux version on my Steam Deck, installed that one, and that's the one then that I've instructed EmuDeck to use through the Emulation Station front end. This is an absolutely fantastic game, Everybody's Golf 2, released in America as Hot Shots Golf. A bit cartoony, but just great. Really, really good fun. I never did quite get to the end on either of them. It does, the last sort of rounds or so are very, very difficult to progress to the last level, but excellent fun. And as you can see, I've got the resolution on this upscaled 3 times in the settings. So 3 times original PSP resolution. Now I thought we'd test this one. It's one I've never played before. I thought we were in for a bit of a beat 'em up, quite the reverse. And then I vaguely remembered the Xbox Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, and I thought, well, maybe it's something to do with that. But as far as I can tell, and I promise I won't play this too long, but Dead or Alive Paradise is some sort of weird dating app where you're stuck on an island and you have to sort of date these busty Japanese women. I think that's probably the best way I can describe it. So that is Dead or Alive Paradise. Not quite what I was expecting. This is Bobble Evolution. So this isn't bad, this one. I thought, to be honest, I'm a massive fan of the original game, and you get to play both on this. This is the sort of the reimagined, remastered version, but it's the same principle. Whereas it's basically a platform. You play that little dragon there, and you have to blow some bubbles out, and then you jump on the bubbles to sort of score points. To be honest, this was nowhere near as much fun as the original, and I wish I'd demoed that one now because I'm such a fan of it. But I probably would still be playing it to this moment because it's really, really addicting, and I mean, as I said, a huge fan of it. Right back to the days of playing it in the arcades. Now I know this is one that seems to get tested quite a bit, and the reason why is because it pushes the original PSP to its limits, really. Now this is being upscaled 3 times. There's not the slightest slowdown at all. The music plays fantastic. It's just a great game. Really good fun to this day. Out of all the games I tried, and I tried about 25 to 30, and I've tried to give you the best 20 here, the only one that wouldn't play was Killzone Liberation. The game would play, but the sound was just too screwy to play properly. You just wouldn't enjoy it. So for the time being, that one is still tough to be emulated on the PPSSPP, but I can play it on my Vita. So I play on that one, and it's a great game. Shame I can't play it on this, because obviously the Steam Deck screen is much higher than the original PSP or even the Vita. So this is, at the moment, the best way to play PSP games in a handheld form. It's just fantastic. And this game here really is something. So this is Archer Maclean's Mercury, and this is a puzzle game. You sort of control that little blob of mercury, and you have to get it from A to B over different courses. Absolutely fantastic this. I really enjoyed it when this came out, and I think I pretty much did finish it. The later levels are unbelievably complicated with, and huge at the same time. A blob of mercury's going around like windmills and along tractors and like travel pods, and it's incredible. It's just incredible. A very basic first level there, just to show you a bit of what it's like. But if you like those sorts of games, a bit like Marble Madness, you're going to enjoy Mercury. To combine the colours there on that second level. Now this is just one of the titles in Capcom Classics Collection Reloaded. So it's like classic 80s arcade games, and they've just been these are the exact copies basically, so they're arcade perfect. So if you didn't want to load something like MAME onto your system, which can be a bit tricky and complicated and a little bit unreliable, to be honest, this is a great way to do it. Although EmuDeck will happily handle MAME, of course. But there were a handful of pretty decent retro compilations on the PSP, and that was one of them. This is another game that I played almost to the end. I didn't quite finish it in the normal way, but I did put a save on where everything was unlocked. And this is Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, an absolutely incredible game, this. Just phenomenal. And I remember at the time being amazed that you had such a big open world city like in your pocket. It really was something. Very good fun this, and Rockstar, well, they just they outperform themselves on this one. It's definitely one of my top 3 favourite PSP games, so I didn't want to not include it. Now, looking at my driving, you might think I'm a little bit rusty, and it's true, I haven't played it in a few years, but believe me, I was tempted to start a brand new game after playing it on this, because it just looks so good. But I think I'll probably do one of the more recent GTAs eventually. Yeah, great game. Great game. Now this one is King of Fighters 94. And it's like a specific portable edition. But this is an old Neo Geo arcade port which has been brought to the PSP. And once again, they did a few of these. I was surprised it's actually quite a collectible game, this one. So it goes for quite a bit of money. But it's in the original 4:3 sort of ratio. It's not spread out. And yeah, a bit of a tougher beat 'em up, this one, and because I actually just chose arcade mode, which is always a little bit harder than normal. But I do like fighting games. It suits my lifestyle where I can dip in and out of games. That's why having all these older systems emulated on the Steam Deck is perfect. Just to nip in and out. This is a favourite of my wife's, Lumines. It's a bit like Tetris in effect, but for the modern age. Although, you know, we are talking how old is the PSP now? Got to be getting on for 15 to 20 years, I would think. But this was, a really funky soundtrack. There's a sequel as well, Lumines 2, which is equally as good. And it just gets progressively faster and more manic, as you can imagine. But you know the basic principle here. A verified PSP classic, that one. And this is a great game. I know it came out on many systems, but having this looking so good on the PSP was just really something back in the day. And once again, I sunk countless hours into it, probably 200 hours, and I did eventually finish it. It was a great game, and still holds up so well today. It's not quite the Skywalker Saga, but it's so polished, you really can't believe how nice it looks. Such fun, that one. Brilliant. Now this is Loco Roco, and this one also had a sequel, and it's one of those quirky sort of PSP original titles that would only sort of work on a PSP. You use the shoulder buttons to tilt the screen left and right. You press them both together to sort of jump up, and you press one of the buttons to split your characters into lots of smaller ones to get through the little holes. Very clever game. Great soundtrack on it as well. And if anything, this is the sort of title that's actually a little bit harder to play on the Steam Deck because of its size. Whereas the little PSP, the original PSP, which was much more in your hand, made this sort of game a little bit easier to play, but it's still very good. And totally playable. This one's great. This is the Metal Slug Anthology, so I'm a huge Metal Slug fan, and I think this one's got at least 6 different versions of the game. This is Metal Slug 3, as I recall, where you start in the water and you initially fight like underwater, like squids and things like that. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Crustaceans, should we say? I just love the Metal Slug games. They're so good and so addictive. You just want that one more go. And you know, this is handheld. This is not the arcade. You can have that one more go. I love the art style, sort of cartoony art on it. Just brilliant. This is the very first game I had when I got my Japanese PSP, the original Ridge Racer. And boy did I play this one to death. Absolutely amazing. And back in the day, you could download someone's like completed game saves from online, pop them on your PSP's memory card, and you could then load that game, and it would basically have the entire game unlocked. And boy oh boy, there's a lot to see in this original Ridge Racer game. Absolutely fantastic. But just the normal career mode is really, really something, and well worth losing yourself in. Still not my favourite PSP racing game, but it's my second favourite. And this one also had a sequel, which was virtually more of the same. Very, very similar. Another little favourite of mine. I enjoy this one on any platform I play it on. The Xbox original one is pretty good as well. And also the Dreamcast. But this is great as well in pocket form. Always takes a little bit of time just to learn the city. But this was the first time I played this one in ages. And I'd forgotten they're just manic. Brilliant fun. Crazy Taxi Fare Wars.
Wow, that was some serious speed.
She'll rue the day she got in a taxi with me. Poor girl. Yes, it has been a while since I played this one. So next we got another favourite, Mortal Kombat Unchained. Pretty good fun, this one on the PSP. It's still not my favourite beat 'em up. You will see that one in a minute, or fighter I should say. It's not really a beat 'em up, it's just a fighter. But you'll see my favourite in a moment. But this is still very good. They have particularly good deaths in this particular one. It's really great. They're really over the top, as is the case with all the Mortal Kombat games. So in case you're wondering, I've got all my ROMs stored on an external SD card. So it's not in the Steam Deck's internal memory, it's just on a micro SD card, which is slipped into the Steam Deck. It's 0.5 terabyte, so it's got stacks of room. You could get so much on it. So this is my all-time favourite PSP racer, which is Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. Absolutely love this game. It's just the greatest. Ever since that original Outrun came out back in the day, it was about 85, something like that. I've loved the game ever since. I even contemplated buying the arcade game at one point, but then realised I really didn't have anywhere for it. Just terrific. What a game. So this is my favourite fighter, Tekken 6. First one I ever played was, I believe, Tekken 3 on the PlayStation 1, the original PlayStation, but this is great. It's not that easy until you get to know the characters, and you'll find you'll have a favourite character or two that you just, you click with all the moves. But this is a really great game, this one. Work your way through, good story mode, good cutscenes, and amazing sound. Absolutely incredible atmosphere on this one. It's good. It's really good. This is Pinball Hall of Fame. This is the Williams collection, and there's also one for Midway. This is just one odd table. Ironically, I think this is Crazy Taxi or Taxi, something like that. A big pinball fan, and if there's a pinball game for a system, I usually put it on because I love them so much. This is great. It's just, it's about 20 different classic tables, and you work your way through them. Good stuff, this. So, next time, I'm going to try and do a Steam Deck video a week whilst the system is new, and until I've covered all the different systems in emulation form, and there's a lot of them. So I'm going to try and do one a week, and next week is going to be the Gamecube, Nintendo Gamecube. But if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What system would you like to see after the Gamecube? Because that's already sort of in the bag. And I shall very much look forward to seeing you again very soon. Now we'll just play out watching this very last one here, which is the Sega Mega Drive collection. Obviously the Genesis in America. With a little bit of Golden Axe too. A little bit more retro action for you to enjoy. And there we are, brilliant stuff. And I'll see you next week. Bye.